Hi everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits and welcome to the behind the scenes vlog of the 2025 Spring Miniskein mini series. In this video, I'm going to share a lot of thoughts that I recorded along the whole process, from designing colorways, maybe picking colors, dyeing the yarn, basically thoughts that I could not share because I didn't want to provide any spoilers before I shipped out yarn to people. You'll see me talk about the fun extras, how I made them, what the project bags look like this year, and more. I think I even filmed some clips during the editing process. Before we jump in, please make sure you're subscribed and that your notifications are on. This is the biggest thing you can do to help support the content here. And if you've really been loving all the yarn that I've dyed for this year's Spring Miniskein mini series, there is some more yarn available, both miniskein sets and bonus skeins. And so you can find all of that in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. I'll have it linked down in the video description. And now let's go back in time to when I started working on things. I'm partitioning yarn to start filming the first video I'm gonna film. I also have a better phone tripod now, so I don't have to like awkwardly hold it for these vlogs. So it is the beginning of March 2025, and this week has been really busy prepping for SMSMS. Last night I ordered charms that I'm having custom made for this year. I'm really excited about them. I think that you guys will really like when they arrive. I ordered blank bags that I can customize. I'm thinking I'm going to do a little bit of like a tie-dye theme. I'm going to use like a tie-dye watercolor vinyl to make like a version of the ChemKnits logo on the bags. I think that that's going to be really, really fun. And then I also started planning, and maybe I'll use like a little t-shirt label for them. But the place where I struggled this year was deciding what yarn to do. And that's because Wool to Die For has way more yarn bases available in miniskeins. And some of those are bases that I love, like the Yak Silk DK. That's a base that's amazing. And there's a 50/50 silk superwash merino in fingering weight. And I love the sport weight version of that yarn. So it's hard to not want to get all of the different ones because it sometimes gets complicated when you have over 10 different yarn bases and multiple different nights, and just to keep everything straight inventory wise. But I'm gonna try because it's fun to play around with a ton of different yarn bases for sets. The one thing is I waited too long and the yarn with the neon neps is no longer available as mini skeins, and so I'm kind of mad about that. But hopefully the yarn will arrive maybe even by the end of the week. It's Tuesday, I ordered this morning. Wool to Die For ships pretty quickly. Now, I always could make my own mini skeins, but the counter on my skein winder is broken. So since I can't have it count the revolutions, so that way I know, I mean, I'm making up a number, but I would know that if I need like 50 revolutions to make 20 grams of a yarn base, I wouldn't be able to watch the counter to know when to stop. Now, this is something that I could probably fix, but it's a lot more work to make your own minis. And I think that like mini skeins are maybe an extra $1 per like half kilogram maybe or something. Like the markup is not that bad. And so it makes it worth it to buy them. But anyway, I got big plans, and well, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do for a lot of the videos yet, besides the 6-color lasagna. And that's another thing I'm doing that is we're making my life more difficult, guys, because I'm going to have some sets of 5 and some sets of 6. What helped though, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking right here, but what helped me is that a few years ago when I did rainbow sets and all of the mini skein sets had 6 skeins, I had some random leftovers on different yarn bases. And so I picked a lot of those for the video where it's going to have 6. So in a couple of cases, I now have an odd number of mini skeins remaining, but this helped me use up some bags that had 1 or 2 minis that just were lonely. They were lonely. There may be some nights that just focus on one base versus a bunch of different bases. Like there's the zebra base in mini skeins. And so I might have one video that focuses on that and then pull back and do something else. But we'll see. I'm very, very excited, and I hope that you are too. And I'm very, very excited to finally use the 6-inch deep full-size catering steam pan for the first time. You know, it's funny. I know originally I didn't think I was going to do this rainbow lasagna with mini skeins. Originally, I thought that I would just do it on full skeins, but I did like how the minis looked as a set when I did it for Hanukkah, and I figured it would be fun to see it on some different yarn bases. But it's sometimes hard to know what bases to order, and I know ones that sell well versus don't sell well, but sometimes people surprise me and they want one of that I'm not planning on bringing back more of. I enjoy the opportunity to dye all these different bases side by side. The one thing that's hard, because I was thinking about doing some color mixing, and there probably will be a color mixing video this year, but the problem with having all of these different minis is that if I'm kettle dyeing them, there's some that may absorb more dye than others. So it's not the most, quote, fair comparison of a depth of shade. And even bases that you may not think could absorb color differently might. For example, at Hanukkah, I realized that a Knit Pick Stroll, which has the same fiber content as Wool to Dye Forest Platinum, Stroll seems to absorb more color in similar situations. And so the way things are milled, maybe there's different ways of making yarn superwash. There's different factors that can come into play there. Oh, it's here. It's here. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. It's raining outside. I have not launched yet. All right, I'm going to cut away because I think we've got... Oh, no, I can pull that out. Oh, I'm so excited. Ha! Wrapped in paper. More wrapped in paper. Please recycle. That is awesome. Okay. Oh, they're loose in here. Oh, they're so big. And the color isn't what I thought. Oh, because I got two kinds. These are not the ones to show. Ha! I forgot that I got two. And that's why I was confused. They're a little bigger than I thought. But that's fine, because I think I went with 1 inch instead of 1/2 inch. Now, ta-da! Okay, they don't look like much right now because they still have a coating on them. Okay, so I got to peel that off. And I think I have to peel something off the back as well. Now, I'm a little surprised because I thought that I was getting fluorescent blue, but maybe let's go get a black light. I was expecting it to be blue. Oh, but it is fluorescent. Oh, it's fluorescent. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, we have the yarn mops and they are on a fluorescent thing. That is so fun. Okay, I guess just the blue fluorescent is clear. Okay, so I'd seen a sample of the green and it had like the acrylic was fluorescent green. So I think I was expecting a neon blue. It is unquestionably blue here. It is just a very, very soft, soft blue. And of course, under the black light, it's unquestionably a neon blue. That is without question. I think I was just expecting it to still look neon blue here. But what we learned with fluorescent blues, this is actually kind of perfect because that stands. Okay, now I feel like I can show one of the tiny charms I ordered before. I haven't used these for anything yet, but they're double-sided, which is awesome. And you can see it is, in fact, blue. It was just surprising at first. Oh, I'm so happy. And also for science, you can see that the clear one does not glow under a black light. Although, oh my gosh, this is amazing. The actual like mop in there, something about that color does glow, which is so cool. That is so cool. Okay, pulling out another one that I've never shown before. Oh, that does glow too. Oh, that's cool. There must be some kind of brightener or something in like whatever they use there. Oh, that's cool. I'm spoiling all kinds of samples that I got over the years, but see, this one doesn't glow. That one's just black. Oh, fun! While I'm spoilering things. Oh, so cool! And it's funny because you see it like in white on the other side and the white does glow. You can't get the fluorescent ones double-sided, but oh, this is so fun! I don't know if and when I'm using this one, but spoiler alert! This blank is going to be so cool. This is the first time I've ever dip dyed a blank widthwise. And I still don't know if the blanks are going to be part of each individual night or if I'm going to do a summary video of them all. But this is something, this technique I'm doing on this blank, I need to do again. And for future reference, Rebecca, you had the blank folded in thirds when you dip dyed it, which worked really, really well. But now I need to go dip dye this in pink. New yarn came in so I can restock the bases that sold the most, which are mostly the DK weight, either Platinum or Crazy 8, and the Sparkle, but I had forgotten to order more Sparkle in the first place. One thing you may notice is that there's some videos for the SMSMS where I vary the yarn a lot, but then there'll be some videos coming up where I'm not going to be varying the yarn as much. And I'm not talking about the color mixing where for consistency of the grid, I had to have all one yarn base, but right now, I am going to be designing the projects almost a little bit or tailoring them based on the yarn bases that have sold in the pre-orders. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, I have a lot of Crazy 8 sets I need to dye. So more of those are going to be featured in particular videos than maybe the Merino Silk Cashmere blend, even though I do need to dye some of that as well. And so if it seems like I'm not using as big a variety as you might have wanted in one of the videos, it's because I'm trying to fulfill the orders that I have. And so I don't think I've ever mentioned that before because unlike Hanukkah, where with the exception maybe of the bonus skeins, I decide the number of everything I'm going to dye before I list any pre-orders. With SMSMS, there's some flexibility, and depending even sometimes even after I've started shipping pre-orders, I can potentially dye some more sets if there's demand. And so I can try to meet the demand as best I can. I'm twisting minis right now, and I have to say I'm really, really happy that, and this is 3 different sets on the silk, that the colors are distinct enough. I was concerned that some of the layers were going to be too similar. This is for our lasagna, and it's working out great, and that makes me so happy. We twisted yarn so that way it won't get tangled. It sort of protects it. Plus, it looks really pretty. And having an electric skein winder like this makes the whole process that much easier. You can absolutely twist things by hand, but when you're doing hundreds and thousands of skeins of yarn, especially in a short period of time, that can be hard on the joints, and this is a lot easier. Plus, you get really consistent results. This is by no means an ad, but this is definitely my most used gadget for yarn dyeing, especially when I'm doing any kind of mini skein series, even though I do use it for all the full skeins of yarn that I dye as well. It's just with these 20 gram minis, it takes even longer to twist each one. And so it's hard to remember what life was like before I had one of these. This is not an ad, but my skein twister is called the Skein Twister, and it's by Alpenglow Yarn. It's Mini Skein Conclusions Day, and like a month after I filmed things originally. Now, when I'm about to lay out these squares, I would rather show it with like the yarn twisted or sort of looped and not in twisted skeins like I did in a few of the other squares I've done over the years. But since I have 75 minis here, it's going to be way easier for me to go ahead and twist things up and lay it out. And so that's the way we're going to go. I'm really excited for the pink squares comparison. Even if I had an order I planned to do the 5 different yarn bases in, and that wasn't the way I ended up doing it. So we'll see. Hopefully it still highlights and we have things that feel less of a gradient across the bases, because our silk blend maybe will look lighter than one with more dye on it. And then our yak is definitely going to be lighter or deeper, more saturated than a more pastel color. So we'll see. Oh, but the black of the zebra is still showing up on, I think, the deepest that I have there. So that's good. That was another concern I had. Wait, have I dyed zebra yarn just completely black before? That is clearly something I need to do if I haven't. So leave a comment to remind me to do that. I've never done a comparison quite like this one, where I've done color mixing on 5 different bases and then compared it to just one base. And I think it's just so fun to see that there really are some differences in there from the blends. I mean, obviously we know that, but I was really excited to actually put this in a video because I don't think I've ever done that before. I've done tons of color mixing, but I don't think I've ever done like a square with a different base for each column. This video here, video C, is one of the examples I talked about earlier about picking the yarn bases for the video based on the pre-orders that I have. And so we have that yak silk, the merino cashmere silk, sparkle, zebra, that yak, and crazy 8, but no standard sock yarn or anything right here because I've dyed enough of that for the pre-orders so far, and so I need to focus on things that have been pre-ordered that I haven't dyed yet. Now, if I do a second round of this colorway, I'll bring in more yarn bases to make sure I have a few in stock across different bases, and so, but yeah, sometimes I prioritize with the prototypes things that I have pre-orders for, but I have not yet dyed. Another behind the scenes moment for this video. But when I was planning out the color progression and then speckled, the intense iris didn't show up right away. And so I still don't know if I'm moving it further down from where I had it or if I'm going to keep it where it was originally. But it's very distinct from the blued steel. It just needed like the heat and the steam so that way it would dissolve and sink into the yarn. But I'm very excited to open this up and then decide if I'm moving things around. I love how summery these colors are all together. But anyway, I thought it would be a fun way to mix it up by playing around with the color progression on the blank first instead of mini skeins. Because if you think about it, this prototype was 100 grams versus being a kilogram. So, oh, I'm so excited. But it's still warm. Ugh. I dyed the neon rainbow yarn mops on a stream on April 11th. I pre-soaked the yarn with no acid, but then added the yarn to a different bath that had 16 cups of water and 8 tablespoons of white vinegar. A little bit higher than I normally would go in terms of the amount of acid, but since I'm going to use neon fluorescent colors and those can take more time to strike, I figured that this makes sense. And then I started randomly applying these colors onto the yarn, and it was so much fun. I thought I might want to double process each skein, but one pass, or really 1.5 passes, tended to be enough. You'll notice that I added the dyes into cups so that way I wouldn't have to go back and forth into the dye containers and introduce moisture in there. But this worked out really, really well. And I'm really excited to show you how this all turned out. And hopefully future Rebecca took some footage of the finished dry yarn so we can show that when we show all the other finished yarn and conclusions in this vlog. Rebecca, please remember. Oh, and I totally filmed this clip for the vlog while on a live stream, so some of you may have watched the behind the scenes of me filming for the vlog. And I think that that is hilarious and so much fun. This might be one of my favorite rainbow sock blanks I've ever dyed. Don't get me wrong, I love the companion dry rub that we have going on as well. You can see the lines from the mask. But something about this just really makes me so, so happy, and I love how it's coming together. I debated between doing 4 or 5 main SMSMS videos this year, and right now it's, what is it, April 14th? I think I'm gonna do 4, and part of that is because this video that I just filmed where I showed the sock blanks, which I'm calling D right now, that has 2 different types of fade sets, 2 different techniques really. The rubbing versus the yarn mop wiping technique. And that yarn mop technique was one of the ideas that I had in my notebook when I was trying to plan what I wanted to do this year. And so, yeah, this video is almost like two techniques sort of combined into one. I always have more ideas than what I can do. Like I thought about doing things with resist dyeing, which I'm also planning to do for the bonus colorway that I haven't dyed yet. There are ideas to, bring back that chain ply of minis that I dip dye that I did. I've done that a couple of different times, I think now. And so, yeah, but I like to mix it up, and I am really, really happy with how this is coming together. And yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think that the color blending that we got on that sock blank, and editing Rebecca, you can pop pictures up on either side of me, but I think that the part of that gradient and color progression, I think that that's where I originally thought I was going to go with the dry rub. I thought I was going to blend all the colors together a lot more than what I ended up doing. But I'm happy to leave it be a little more variegated. And yeah, I'm really excited to have like a variegated fade where the colors don't repeat in between the skeins. A lot of times I like to try to pull colors from one skein into the mini that would go before it and things like that. But I think that this will blend really, really beautifully. Sure, it could be a little bit stripey, but you could mix them together a little bit before the transitions, and eek, I'm happy. It's the next day, and I did a whole other round of mini skeins and sock blanks. I'm feeling quite accomplished. And I only filmed the sock blanks so that way hopefully I'll get some good shorts out of that footage. And especially like zoomed in on this as I do the rub and set up so that way I could zoom in more here too. Time to make the labels. Looking at the size of the font, I could have made everything smaller probably, but I already set up everything, so I don't want to redo it. I'm now making labels for the individual minis. I didn't do a big redesign here, but I can sort of put these on the t-shirt. This is why I made the t-shirts a little bigger to fit these labels that I had used last year, but I could have just shrunk these down. Yeah, that wasn't smart, but it's okay. I have plenty of paper, and it's not a problem for them to be bigger. It means I could fit a label of something else on the back if I needed to. And yes, I did just buy a rock tumbler. I've been collecting sea glass, and I have all of these pieces of glass that are not as wound down that I found along the beach. I mean, some of them are wound okay, but I'm getting pickier and pickier as I get more glass. Here's a bunch that I haven't sorted. These are all pieces. There might be a few in here that are sharper that I would go and tumble, but the rest of them are all pieces that are maybe not the most, quote, perfect, although, wait, that one's not bad. But these will get sorted so then I can eventually use in projects. But anyway, my sea glass. Here are those neon rainbow yarn mops that I dyed in a live stream for the SMSMS. We've got some sparkle bases, Swish DK. This is obviously our zebra base. I think we've got some stroll, and then we have some of those neon neps bases, which are really cool. Now, mostly the rainbow colors don't modify themselves. And that's because when I'm wiping the color off of my gloves, I pay attention to the placement. There is the odd place where we might have a green and purple overlap, but really that doesn't happen very much. And of course, the moment you all want, the black light, which, I mean, it's really cool everywhere. I think it's especially cool with the zebra, seeing the black through. But then when we have those neon fluorescent neps, it really makes it shine. I love the like neon on neon fluorescence. Oh, so fun. Anyway, I need to go start twisting these up, and I think I'm going to use this as the opportunity to do some shorts where I can talk about how I twist up skeins. So I hope you enjoy that. I mean, how fun is that? Love it. I will never get tired of turning on the black light to look at the yarn. Ever wonder how I tell the difference between the yarn when I have a bunch of mini skein sets labeled together? I will keep a note that'll show what is in each set. And usually I try to place it so that way things that may look similar are not placed in the same bundle. For example, titanium and the high twist superwash MCN are both 2-ply and take up dye very similarly, so they can look really similar. So if I'm dyeing them both in a project, I'll have them in separate bundles. And one of them will be in a bundle that, say, has a sparkle mini. So that way it's very, very obvious that, you know, which was in that one. And so that's sort of how I keep track. And why I also really love having yarn bases that are different, like the yak or the zebra, because then it's really visually easy to make sure I'm dyeing the right ones for the right set. Anyway, though, it is April 28th. Oh, and I have to dye the last full skein. But I'm working on that right now. Could that resist? Things are cool, but I'm trying to get everything set before the kids get home from school. The neon neps showing through the blue. So pretty. The zebra is also really, really pretty, and I'm so excited with how this is coming together. I feel like I've done a lot of resist dyeing for big colorways lately, and maybe that's not entirely true. We had one for Hanukkah. I don't know. I just adore the way they come out, and dyeing them is making me so happy. And so I hope that this isn't repetitive and that you're hoping for something else. I do try to mix things up as much as I can, but sometimes I get an idea in my brain and I really want to create it. And so I really hope you guys are enjoying it. Normally when I'm filming conclusions, I'll take the labels and sort of put them up at the top edge just out of view of the camera. But today things are like really random with the way things are placed. And I want to make sure I don't mix up any of the yarn bases by mistake. Not that I think that I would. It's just better to be safe than sorry. But I'm sure I show this in the video. But this is one of the sets that I dyed in the first dry rub round. This was a second one. And there is a huge saturation difference there. You can see that on this yak silk DK as well, although it's a little more subtle there. And yes, part of the reason for filming those clips is just in case I mix things up as I go and film the next clips or move things around or something happens, you know? But my plan is to just take these tags and slip them underneath. They may peek through a little bit, but overall it should be fine. The main question is, and I'm probably just filming some beauty shots of the yarn for the video, and I may be talking about the bases, but the question is, am I going to remember which is which? That's a hard thing. It's time to start making this year's project bags, and I'm hoping for something that ends up looking a little tie-dye on these zipper pouches. I feel like I'm on a cycle where every other year I make in some way the project bags that I will be using, and this is so fun. And I guess this year is no exception. Now I'm going for a version of my logo, which is a 2-neck round bottom flask. That was not a good, I'm not doing a good peel here, everybody. And a lot of other times I would design an image around, oh dear. There we go. I would design an image around the yarn ball. I've done a polka ball. I've done a sun. I've done like a sunflower or kind of flower. And I have other ideas of things that I can do with it. But the thing that really is a star this time is the vinyl. And so I'm peeling a lot and just putting it on some wax paper until I can go iron it on. But the watercolor vinyl is almost like tie-dye. And so I thought that that was a fun way to do the logo. But I will admit that one of the things I consider, and I have to consider this a lot when I scale things up, is how long it might take me to weed the project. And that is, I guess, a huge factor when it comes into pricing the kits and deciding what, I have to go work on a video, and deciding what it is that I'm going to be making that year. But anyway, one of the fun things about this is that no two will be identical. And so I try, when people order more than one kit, to keep things, I don't know, to have there be some variety in what people have. And yeah, I'm very excited with how this turned out. Last year's kit and extras, when I used like a little pencil case that had 3-hole punch on it, so you could stick it in a binder to put notions in with patterns or something. I like the packaging for SMSMS to always be functional, so that way you can use the pouch to store something in it, whether it's yarn or something else. But anyway, it's fun when no two are going to be identical, because that means that if someone has 2 sets, they're going to get some variety, even if, you know, I go for 2 of this green set or whatever. But one reason for the yarn itself to be positive space versus negative space is that it's way easier to weed or to remove the vinyl that isn't going to be used. It's way easier to remove that than it would take longer to remove each of those little pieces of yarn individually. Cute, right? I just got this, my Easy Press is good. I just got this mat. But I think what I'm going to do is pre-set up a few, so that way I just have like a stack ready to go. In theory, you should preheat the canvas before placing it on, but I don't always do that, especially because, I mean, these are supposed to be cotton, but I don't know if there's something else in them, and so I don't want to melt anything. And the nice thing is that if you've never worked with heat transfer vinyl before, is that that's sticky, so it's not going to fall off. Then I always cover with some parchment paper, and then I can press. And I will often do, it depends on if I'm layering colors. If I'm layering colors, then I might do like 5 seconds and then another round. But I'll do around 30 seconds, and I may do one more press once I peel off the vinyl. We'll see. Some vinyl you like peel off the coating when it's still warm. Others you may need to wait for it to cool. This is my first time using this mat, and so I'm very excited. Oh no, about that. Shoot. Hee hee. Fixed. That was lucky. So I don't know if you saw, but when I lifted it up, part of the vinyl went under a little bit there, but oh, this feels really good. Really, really good. I've used this vinyl before, and I'll try to link this down below. But since an edge popped up, I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. And it feels good. And so I can decide at the end if I need to do another round. But whatever the coating is on the inside, that didn't melt. Always good to do a test. And the other thing I did do is I actually checked the vinyl and the temperature it wanted me to use. And this worked great. Super excited. But anyway, this is me making the bags, and I'm really happy so far with the new mat, because the thing about doing a lot of iron-ons using an ironing board is that if it's not perfectly flat, then sometimes you don't get the right heat and pressure on some areas. And so I'm very happy, and I think that this mat, which was not expensive, is going to be really helpful. And then I don't need to replace my ironing board, which was the other thing I had planned to do. And I rarely iron like our clothes or things anyway. Honestly, if I need to adjust a color of a shirt, I'll use like a hair flat iron to do it. That's a really great hack around buttons and stuff. It works perfect. But yeah, I was going to replace the ironing board because I was struggling to get things to work. But this nice mat works great. And it's Cricut brand, if you're curious. And if you're curious what show I've been watching while doing a lot of the stuff this year, I'm rewatching Law & Order SVU. I think I'm on season 17 right now. I started like over a season after Stabler left, if anyone is curious. So it's been a while. Here are the yarn mops from the 4 nights. And it's pretty fun to see how similar the mops can be sometimes. And yes, we do have some differences in saturation here, but color palette wise, these are way more similar than what I have over here from night 1 with the yarn lasagna. Now, granted, we had lots of layers. This one was dyed differently. I intentionally wiped onto each. But if I'm ever doing a yarn mop, things are similar here. If I'm ever doing a yarn mop, there can be a lot of variety even within one night or from night to night. I did something a little unusual, and I arranged the SMSMS nights in the order that I dyed the yarn. We have our rainbow lasagna that gave us this very, very beautiful fall colorway. We had color mixing of Caribbean blue with black and deep magenta with black, giving us these tonal sets. We did a speckled gradient where we added more and more colors as we went through the different sets. And then finally, we had our 2 types of rainbows in night 4, one the dry rub and one the yarn mop. And I didn't plan to do 2 like rainbow themed, even though this doesn't turn out to be a rainbow, but we had 2 rainbow themed nights. But I really love how this all came together. And I'll pop up some beauty shots that I took from the various different nights so you can see a few more of the yarn bases. I had so much fun putting this together. I unraveled 3 different sets of sock blanks, and I filmed a lot of shorts along the way. Unraveling blanks, shorts, and reels tend to do pretty well, so win-win-win. And so I'm really happy that I was able to include some of these in the video. I regret that I couldn't include all of them, but who knows? Maybe I'll unravel a few more, and maybe I'll do it on a live stream. All the extras are coming with a little sand dollar progress keeper. And then if people order multiple extras, I'll replace some of those with the little jars that are sea glass feeling. I need to remove our sand dollar to leave the sea glass. Originally, I had not planned to add stickers, but given that we've got some of that super subtle holographic coating, which does sparkle, it's just a little subtler than I expected, I decided to leave no stickers behind because they're still cute, even if you think they just have the little star coating and they aren't super sparkly. I decided to include these as well. May 22nd, I'm about to start editing, and oh my God, there is 3 hours of raw footage for night 2, and this does not include any of the talking heads. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of time lapse. We have 3 different square color mixings, and some of that is going to down really, really fast. I feel like night 1 was like 2 hours of footage. And again, there's a whole second lasagna that's only going to be about a minute long that took way longer to do. There's the sock blank that's all time lapse. So I need to breathe. But oh man, editing's going to be hard. And I have a week and a half. So for the editing, I start with all the raw files all together, and then I sort of break them up into different categories. This helps for 2 reasons. One, I film all the shout outs for these videos after doing most of the editing, so that way I can add talking heads for anything that's needed, and I know how much or little to talk during those talking heads. The other thing that doing this does is help me feel a little bit better or worse Like, for example, the dry yarn should not be 20 minutes long. That's a long time. But the sock blanks being almost 30 minutes, I know that that's just a few voiceovers, so that's only going to be a couple minutes long. Same with the random pink bases. That's going to be a lot shorter than 34 minutes. So of the 3 hours of footage that I had for video B, that's pretty much an hour gone. Maybe I could even say an hour and a half gone. So that's good. The problem is that for the lasagna video, the lasagna making process is really long and not a time lapse. It's going to make a beautiful time lapse for a short, a stunning time lapse. And actually, I think I was smart and I filmed voiceovers for shorts along the way, which current me would really appreciate because I'm overwhelmed. Nights 3 and 4 aren't as bad. They have a reasonable amount of footage given that I did sock lengths and everything. And one thing I decided I'm going to do today before actually editing any of the videos is I am going through, can I do this one-handed? I'm going through and doing all of the file sorting, like I had talked about before, and these pre-edits, just pre-trimming up the clips a little bit. So that way the actual editing when I start is easier. And I'm just in the middle here of starting to sort everything out for, I guess, night 4. Okay, we have an hour and 40 minutes, but I know I did a few rounds of sock blanks and maybe I did 2 rounds of yarn that I filmed. So there's a lot of time lapse here. And I do this while having a show on in the background, and I can see very clearly when something is a time lapse, and I can remove the audio from that in the pre-edits. It just, again, helps my brain to look at everything and be like, okay, that is a clip I'm going to be speeding up. That's a huge section of time. Okay, we're hitting the target, but I have a feeling, especially night 1, is going to be really long. Sometimes it happens, and well, this is the nice thing about doing shorts summaries as well, right? All right. Jumping back in. Tuesday, February 27th. We're down to the wire. Okay, all the files right now for night 1, an hour and 23 minutes. And I'll try to have Editing Rebecca pop up what the final time of the video is before I film the talking heads. We'll see if I remember. I got it down to 55 minutes without the talking heads. I remembered to film a clip, and here are some of those sections because I felt like I showed those before. Except you can't see the times there. But woohoo! Tomorrow I film talking heads. Under an hour, baby. Yeah. No big deal. Just finally filming some of the talking heads in my fun rainbow dress that has art supplies on it. Not sponsored or anything. It's just so fun and brings me so much joy. So editing is going well. One video is done and the other is half done. Maybe? Because sometimes if I'm already dressed to film talking heads, then I might film the intro at one point and then film the conclusion later on. So yeah, it's going. I'm going to get back to it though. I'm editing night 2, and actually that's the clip that I just did the vlog clip after. And here's the thing that I'm really realizing. Each of these like subsections, which I will edit down to just be a few minutes long, like the whole pink grid is 3.5 minutes. But each one of these is basically a full episode of Dye Pot Weekly. And I have filmed an episode of Dye Pot Weekly doing a square grid with deep magenta and forest green that I haven't edited yet. But doing that video, oh my gosh, that video, it's just one video versus having 3 grids plus 2 different types of sock blanks all in one video. And so I sometimes underestimate how much work goes into editing one of these because, and you know, for night 3, we dye 5 different types of colorways, which is going to be a lot easier to put together because it's like very similar for time lapse, but because I want to try to have like voiceovers be over the relevant part, like when I talk about adding the yarn, I want to show the adding of the yarn. You therefore end up with multiple different time-lapse sections where we do like the stock solutions, mixing in the colors, adding the yarn, and things like that. And I'm not complaining because I'm so excited about the way this video is coming together and that I don't think it's going to be an hour long like night one. So I'm really, really happy about that. But it means that I just need to give myself grace and allow myself to take more breaks because the amount of footage that I'm going through is a lot. And so this is going to take longer than a shoebox dyeing episode of Dye Pot Weekly that is stunning and has awesome yarn, but is simpler overall. So I hope that you really appreciate the effort that's going into it. I don't think I've vlogged this much editing before. And I know I should probably do screen capture, but then that's going to make the vlog harder to edit. And why make things harder on me than I need to? Let's pack up some of our mini skein sets. We have a set from night 2 and then 2 different sets from night 1. So in one of the zipper pouches, we're going to take, this is our zebra yarn, pop the yarn in, then we're going to add a sticker. These have some holographic stars that are a little bit subtle. And then after we zip it up through here, we're going to add our label and then a little yarn mop fluorescent charm, which I am very, very excited about because those glow under a black light. The nice thing about using zipper pouches is that it makes everything go really quickly. And since the pouches themselves are fairly opaque, I know that the yarn will be able to stay hidden and can be a surprise unless someone opens it. And they should not pop open in transit. Believe it or not, I have had some things, some cardboard, like little bags pop open in the past. And so it's always nice when you know that that can't happen. But I like these canvas bags. They are super handy. And it is a very simple setup, simple enough that I can do this to order. So that way when someone orders a set, then I am pretty much ready to go. There's 2 last things that'll go into each of my orders. One of them is a letter that talks about where you can find the videos and about the Spring Mini Skein mini series, even though by now that you're seeing this, it's already over, but the letter still goes in. And then of course there is a business card, which happens to have a coupon code on it. And so if you've made it this far in the vlog, you deserve to see it. You could save 10% off your ChemKnits Creations Etsy order in June 2025 using the code SMSMS 2025. Now I just need to go and ship these out to my customers. Now I am editing the vlog. And let's see how much I can cut it down from starting out at about 2 hours. I just filmed the introduction and I'm about to sit down to edit it. But I wanted to add that I know in that 2 hours of footage, I have some time-lapse montages in there. I have some shorts and voiceover for shorts that I filmed for some of the unraveling of sock blanks. And so probably the next step for me after editing this video is to go and edit a bunch of shorts that I'll share over the length of the summer. I know that right now I've been sharing a short summary of the morning after one of the videos has premiered to sort of advertise the video and encourage people to go check it out. But I'm gonna spread out these other ones a bit more so it's not too repetitive. But now I think Rebecca from a few hours from now is gonna pop in and sign us all off. First pass got us down to 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'm definitely going to be able to cut it down shorter, even as I'm filming more clips now, because I know that there's stuff I'm going to cut out from some of my talking heads. And I also removed a lot of the sock blank unraveling footage. I do plan to turn these into shorts eventually, but when I filmed them and I filmed the voiceovers, it was with the intent of making shorts more than vlog. So that's why that went that direction. I just haven't edited those yet. 49 minutes, 31 seconds before I film the final talking head. I feel like this has been the most meta vlog ever, and I'm down to the wire on Friday. This comes out tomorrow, and my kids get out of school in 5 minutes. They take the bus home, so I don't have to go pick them up. So I'll be able to finish this before they're home and the weekend officially starts. I've really enjoyed hanging out with all of you in the live chat during all of the premieres. I know I may not be there right now as you're watching the vlog. I had a last minute birthday party for a friend that I haven't seen in years, but I am going to try to pop in, assuming I have decent reception at the party. But now I need to ask you again, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I know if you're at this point in the vlog, you're probably subscribed, but it never hurts to ask and make sure that YouTube didn't randomly unsubscribe you. That is by far the biggest thing you can do to help support the content here. I mean, watching the videos, reacting to them, giving them thumbs up, leaving comments, all of those things tell the almighty YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying the content, and they're more likely to show the videos to someone else. Now, if you want other ways to help support the content, I have a lot of affiliate links for items that I use in my videos, mainly to Amazon and KnitPicks, but occasionally a few other companies. I have those all down in the video description, and so that's sort of like a win-win-win, especially if you're planning on doing some shopping anyway. And then, of course, there's the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop, where I do still have yarn for the 2025 SMSMS. I have a lot of yarn options left, and if there is yarn from a particular night you're hoping for, feel free to send me a message on Etsy. At some point, I will take things down from being like the mystery that they are and add like individual listings based on colorways or yarn bases. But that means that some of the fun extras like the charms, which actually those yarn mop charms are probably in the shop on their own now, but the charms and bags then wouldn't come with the yarn anymore. So if you want everything all packaged up pretty, shop soon. And stay tuned because we have a lot more fun things coming up in June, and I can't wait. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and thank you so much for watching.